Hey guys, Tbull here. Today we're going to be running down the Tier 7 cruisers. I'm going to give you my picks from worst to best. This is being filmed at the end of 2022 for future reference. I usually do these about this time of year, every year. As always, these are my opinions. There may be some controversy. There may be some disagreement. Of course, we want to hear about it in the comments. What do you think I got right? What do you think I got wrong? Let us know. We're going to start off with number 10. Italian cruiser Amalfi. Now, you got to put a little caveat out here. This is getting SAP in about 2 or 3 weeks with the next update. So the ratings may change. We'll see how it performs with the SAP. But currently we got the HE/AP configuration. And I usually run a little bit more HE on it. The AP can be good in certain situations, but it's not quite as potent as the lower tier AP. So Amalfi does two things really well. It's got great speed. In fact, there's a decent chance it's going to be the fastest ship on your team, including the destroyers. And it's got good concealment, so you can get it into odd positions, especially using the rolling smoke. Okay, so that's what it's good at, and can kind of set up ambushes and stuff like that. The damage output, however, not that great. Reload and raw damage combined, not that impressive. Never liked the guns on the Amalfi. We'll see how they perform again with the new shell type. But currently, I'm not a huge fan of that ship. Number 9, I got the British heavy cruiser Marley. Albert Marley, you might call it, whatever. Albert Marl. This ship, sometimes when I play it, I'm like, dang, I really should be playing this thing more. You put together a nice 150k game or something like that. And it feels pretty good. It does get whacked around now. It does have a super heal. So if you get smoked, you can heal back quite a bit of the damage. But still, rather squishy. AP, I always want to use the AP. It does well, again, in certain situations, typically a little bit closer range. Of course, against broadside cruisers primarily. But in general, this is another HE-focused ship. The maneuverability, not the greatest. So Marley, kind of tough to survive in. If you can find nice covered firing positions, then yes, you can put together some strings of damage, sure. But other than that, you're going to be kind of running for your life a lot of the time in the Marley. So a difficult ship to play, but if you can get it to work, you can have some fun. Number 8, Chapayev. I think I put this one last place last year, and it's not gone up a lot for me. Basically, more to do with the role it has. It's a backline cannon, and typically the further back you are, the less control you have over the game. As the game progresses, of course, the Chapayev can move forward, but early on it's going to want to be using an extended firing range that it typically features. Lobbing shells down range. It's got nice low trajectory shots, fast firing shots, so accuracy not that big of an issue even at maximum range. However, backline cannon, for me as a solo player, I just don't find that I'm winning as many games with that type of playstyle as I'd like to generally. Again, as I mentioned, when you can get into a little bit closer position later in the game, then the Chapayev can be quite deadly. But overall, Chapayev, I think it just kind of suffers based on what it is. It's kind of born to be what it is. Number 7, I got the other Soviet cruiser. Now, the Riga is a lot of fun to play. You got to set it up for accuracy because the shots get a little crazy. So if you got the delightful guy, usually we'd recommend him on the Riga, the Stalingrad, whatever else comes along that line. But Riga, it's going to be doing better, closer range. You're going to want to be firing AP as much as possible. Can have quite punchy guns, yes, no doubt about it. If you're getting smacked around by the Riga, that can pose a major problem to you and your health. But Riga, you got to be very careful. You kind of have to play it like a battleship, nose in, and protect yourself. Armor scheme-wise, if you're angling properly, pretty able to protect yourself, but if you're getting caught with broadside incoming shots, well, you're not going to last long in the Riga. So a lot of fun to play. Utility-wise, I think it suffers a little bit just because it is kind of situational on where it is and what's going on around it. If the stars align properly, it can be wrecking things, but if things aren't working out, your team's not cooperating, whatever, it can be a little bit difficult. So Riga, I would recommend probably pursuing for the fun factor, and it's a pretty good line overall, especially with the Italian at Tier 6 being another heavyweight. But overall, Riga, I'm going to put middle of the pack this year. Number 6, we got coming in hot French cruiser, Martel, Charles Martel, in fact. This one probably last year, if I went back and watched my rankings, I'd see it towards the bottom. Now, it did take a pretty nice buff here, including a set of main battery reload boosters. I believe you get 3 at least on my build, if I'm not mistaken while I'm recording this, which can increase the offensive capabilities quite a bit. Now, the Martel's always had nice guns. It's always felt a little bit squishier and a little bit more vulnerable in terms of the maneuverability than the Megami, which we'll be seeing later in the list here. Similar playstyles overall. Key difference, the Martel and the French AP works quite well, especially at range, whereas the Megami and the Japanese cruisers, the AP's functional at closer range, but it really drops off in penetration at range. So long range shots with the Japanese, I don't tend to shoot AP much. The French, however, you can consider it. And with this AP reload booster, even if you got a target downfield, well, if you're able to catch them broadside, kind of exposed, you can actually make quick work of mini cruisers. And you can even kind of wreck some battleships if you're using these shots properly. So HE, good shells. AP, sneakily good. You want to be testing them out and get used to what the French AP can take care of, and especially with the Martel. So Martel's a fun ship. It's gotten better over the last year. I think it's worth another look if you haven't played it for a little while. Number 5, I got the Edinburgh. We call it the Edinburgh around here. Now, the Edinburgh, capable of a couple of different builds, right? You can use the radar. You can even set it up for a stealth radar. If you use the proper build, a lot of times people will slap Tbull on there. Now, really tighten up the concealment. And then, you know, if you have your concealment lower than your radar range, if you get spotted, you know there's a destroyer spotting you with a direct line of sight. Pop the radar, blast the destroyer. Very dangerous play. But like all the other British cruisers, well, if you're caught in the open, you can definitely get blown up very quickly if you're shot in the sides. Now, the key difference with the the Edinburgh, and basically the majority, even legendary tier and lower tiers, tier 8 legendary tier and tier 6 and below, usually these ships basically have no armor, but the Edinburgh is kind of a curiosity to the line. It has a very strong bow armor, so when we're close range here, we can actually get into these interesting brawling situations where I've taken on Iowa's point blank range and just beat them up, slapped them around, and it's kind of fun to do. You got to be kind of careful. You got to know what you're doing. Of course, if you get shot in the side, it can end pretty quickly because you still do have that British vulnerability. But armor angling wise, outstanding. So that Edinburgh, I think a lot of you guys might put it a little bit higher than number 5. I certainly wouldn't, necessarily strongly disagree, but that's where it broke down in my ratings this year. Number 4, one of my favorites. I think it was the first tier 7 cruiser I unlocked way back when the game first launched. Baltimore, one of the classics. All right, it's got radar, of course. It's got good HE shells. Ripping AP. My God, you want to be testing the AP out on anything broadside at any distance. Don't fall into the trap necessarily of setting up the Baltimore or any of the American cruisers for max range, in my opinion, due to the high floaty, kind of slow traveling shell characteristics that we see on these types of ships. The shots can be very difficult to hit at range. So you might be saying to yourself, I got it at max range, I can hit stuff. Yeah, you can, sure, I get it, but I watch you guys, you miss a lot of shots when they're going around at max range. So there's no real reason to, with the American cruisers, both heavy and light, you're going to want to get them as close as you can in terms of going forward safely, right? Once you can no longer go forward safely, then you kind of hunker down, you hold position. So the fact that we got a strong radar here, we got ripping AP shells, good HE shells, overall makes the Baltimore a fun experience, no doubt about it. Number 3, the other American cruiser, the light cruiser, I got Cleveland ahead of the Baltimore, if you can believe it. Cleveland, kind of one of the defensive masters, certainly at tier 7. American light cruisers, I conceptualize them as defensive pieces. So again, we want to get them as close as we can, safely, and then, typically behind an island, and then we just start harassing anyone who's trying to move forward. You try to move forward into the cap, you're trying to support your destroyer, whatever you're doing, boom, here comes some golden showers. Be sure to dress appropriately. Very frustrating to play against. Cleveland, closer range, you got a serious AP threat, especially if anyone's going to go broadside against this thing. Very quick reloading guns. You know, they're lighter caliber. You know, so you might not have a major AP dev strike threat at longer ranges. Shells can still do some damage against superstructures, of course, but close range, look out. Cleveland's very punchy. So Cleveland, the biggest drawback with this, and the Baltimore, by the way, no torpedoes, which makes defending your position, you know, again, you're typically trying to hold a certain position. Someone rushes you, especially a battleship, well, you might be in trouble there. So that's the biggest drawback of the Cleveland. But if you got good spotting on your team and you got clear shots, hopefully over the island that you're hiding behind, well, you can do a lot of damage in the Cleveland. So that's a fun one to play. Number 2, one of my favorite ships in the game, certainly my favorite cruiser on this list, Megami. That's right, I almost put a number 1. Mogami's probably, it's not the hardest cruiser on this list to play, but it is harder than a lot of them. Mistakes in the Megami are punished very heavily, especially with the build I run, which is with the Azure Lane Atago character, which increases the damage output, increases the incoming damage to the Megami. So high risk, high reward build, a lot of fun. One of the heaviest HE salvos out of a cruiser in the game. It's not uncommon to see 10,000k damage HE shots, and of course there's a decent chance you can add on 1 or 2 fires on top of that, and if you get those fires stacking on top of each other, the damage can pile up quite a bit. So Megami, typically I run it kind of in a flowing style where we're moving more often than not, facing away from the enemy, sending torpedoes down there, zoning those torps, creating dangerous waters, but if we find covered firing positions, of course we're going to stop, utilize them, and keep pumping out damage without any damage coming back our way. So Megami, a lot of fun to play. Again, maybe a little bit hard. The AP not as good as a lot of these cruisers. Again, it's good close range against broadside cruisers. That's about it. Anything else, though, you're going to want to be shooting HE anyways, because the HE attack on the Megami, outstanding. One of the best in the game. A lot of fun. Number 1, actually, the Hipper. German cruiser. Now, this cruiser basically has everything, right? It's got good dual 2 sets of torpedo launchers on each side, steep firing angles, steep launch angles on those torpedoes, blistering AP attack out of the main guns. I got mine set up with Dmitry Dewey, the Russian generic, whatever his name is, Von Essen. Decrease the ability for the enemy to defend themselves, and Yamamoto increase the penetration. We're going all in on the build. Just everything about AP. Every single time we think we can get a decent shot with the AP, we want to be using it in the Hipper. You can absolutely wreck people if they make mistakes around this thing. So very easy to take a position, behind an island and defend it due to the fact that you got outstanding torps. Oh, by the way, we got a great sonar. You can configure it so you can outrun a lot of destroyers if you want to build for speed. I've gotten chased down by more than one Hipper and just permanently caught in the sonar web and obliterated as a destroyer. So terrifying ship for destroyers, terrifying ships for cruisers if they're making angling mistakes. The HE, good pen but low damage. Not, kind of the weakness of the line overall. But the Hipper quite strong. I think a lot of you guys would probably put that towards the tops of your list. It's taken a buff or 2 over the years, and it's definitely king of the pile right now for the Tier 7 cruisers. So that's my breakdown, guys. I'm interested to hear what you guys have to say. What do you agree with? What do you disagree with? What do you got on the top of your list? Let us know in the comments. Well, that's going to do it for this one, though, guys. Hopefully you did enjoy it. And if you did, please hit the thumbs up. New to the channel, hey, consider subscribing. Lots of World of Warships coming for all the time. Questions, comments, leave them below. Love to hear from you guys, and we'll see y'all later. All right, peace.